Yo, 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 MC Mega Ruler back in the house. Gonna break down the final day of the slate double week for EuroLeague for Friday, the 20th of November. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank everybody who's been tuning into my videos, and I'm getting like 100 views on these, and appreciate it. And if you like what you see and want to help us out and help us continue to do this free content, if you could just subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you have some friends you think would like this content, then have them subscribe also, or just give our video a like, share it on Twitter, wherever. Get the word out there. We've got a lot of other great content at fsidfs.com. And on our YouTube page, it's kind of a slower time for sports, with the NBA hasn't quite tipped off yet, but we're still covering college football in the states where you guys can play it. We've got NFL, we've got PGA. There's lots of things out there. And check out our videos too, because we've got instructional videos on things like bankroll management, strategy, different things like that. Soccer is another huge thing that we cover. So many options out there. Go to fsidfs.com and check us out and get in our Discord. And like I said, it's our goal to try to help you guys be better players out there. Yes, we've got a lot of content that we provide to subscribers, but we've also got a lot of stuff out there that we're just there to help you become a better player. So let's talk about last couple of days. Tuesday, as some news broke early, some guys got in foul trouble. Wasn't a great day. Wednesday, from the content, put together this banger line here at 178 is the total. I edited the wrong contest, so I should probably be wearing a dunce cap here, because I thought I was entering my $10 entry with this line. I should put in the 5, so it won me $52. But boom, had I entered and had I edited my line in the 10, which I thought I was doing, as you can see, would have taken it down. As for today, the core was Chaved, Miltinov, and Reynolds. And Chaved did okay, but he got into a little foul trouble. The game was a blowout. But if you look at these guys here, they smashed it. So a lot of stuff we've been providing for you guys has been doing quite well. And let's start to look at tomorrow's slate, Friday slate, whenever you're viewing this. So the one thing that I really dislike about this slate is it's going to be a very, very difficult slate. And it has nothing to do with the players. What it has to do with is the times of the games. So it tips off at 2. So it gives you a little bit of extra time to study, to get things prepared. And then the next game is 2:45. But then the final 3 games are all locking at 3 o'clock. And you guys know, if you follow EuroLeague and looking for lineups on Twitter, or if you go to the EuroLeague website, some other resources, we get them, if we're lucky, 5 minutes before. Maybe rare occasions, sometimes on Twitter, they'll be out like 10 minutes before lock. But in reality, it's sometimes anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds before lock. But when you have 3 games locking at the same time, it is going to be extremely difficult to look at all 6 teams that are playing and be able to go in and customize a bunch of lines. So I think tomorrow I'm playing 2 lines or 3 max, because I know when that 3 o'clock game comes, and it's going to be very difficult to comb through all the lines and try to make any changes. And again, we're at the end of a double week, and most of the teams have played. Some of these teams played on Wednesday, so they've had like 1 day off. Some played on Tuesday, so they've got 2 days off. But anyways, a lot of them have weekend domestic games coming up, and you might see some rotation. Barcelona got a break because they didn't have to play Olympiacos on Wednesday. So, but they have like probably the biggest total. I think it's like a 13-point spread. So they might not play players in the fourth, or they might not. They might start their B team because I believe they play Vesta, but we'll get to that as we break down the slate. And they might not start some of their stars. They might put out the B team and try to get them some run because it should be an easy win for them. So a lot of things could come out in those lineups that'd be weird. And to try to, if you're maxing out, it is the Friday frenzy, and if I think the max is like 24, if you're trying to make 24 lines and check them and everything, it just you're not going to beat the clock. So the recommendation is put together some really solid lines. Don't take chances. What we've learned from this double week, definitely, and I go back to Wednesday with the deck factor, where he's only got 4 DK points, 5 DK points, 6 DK points, and then all of a sudden he starts and he smashes. And that's what happens sometimes during double weeks, where you've got guys that are play very minimum and they get the opportunity for minutes, they rest some other guys. And we'll get to that. We'll look for some of these guys, but I really would try not to take too many risks. I would definitely try to, especially in your cash game, go with guys that are going to start. And I'll go through as the breakdown some examples of people who on a normal week that's not a double week, they might not start, but they're going to come in and do well. But on Tuesday and Wednesday this week, they just didn't. So let's start breaking down slate. So as I said, the slate starts at 2 p.m. on Friday. It's Zenit is playing Alba Berlin. This is a huge contrast in pace games. Zenit is one of the slowest teams, and Berlin's one of the fastest teams. So are Berlin going to speed up Zenit, or is Zenit going to slow Berlin down? I believe probably that Zenit will probably slow Berlin down. This game also has the highest total in the slate, is tied at a 158.5. Today, the Kim Mick and FS game had a total of almost 168, so 10 points higher than that. We saw how fast-paced that game was. So this game, it's anticipated to be a little bit of a pace up for Zenit, but I think the other game that has MTA versus Valencia is the one that's actually probably going to have the highest total. Okay. Anyways, let's look at this. Let's hide this column so it doesn't get too confusing. But starting with Zenit, I think there's only a couple of cash plays that I really like on this team. Pangos, he's up to 10K now. He needs about 25 for cash. In a pace-up game, you could definitely get there. You could play him in cash, but I don't think he's a priority. But I know Berlin does give up points to guards. They give up assists to guards. So somebody that you can feel safe about playing. The other guard, Billy Barron, I think he played for Zvezda last year, and he would have smash games. He gets like really hot from three. If you look at his 3-pointers here, he's almost at 3 per game, which is that's almost 9 points right there, DK points if he's in 3 threes. So that's if he's on, we're talking that he's gonna hit 3x. If not, he's getting like 13 to 16 DK points because he can do a few other things. That's only gonna be about 2x. So it's definitely a GPP. But if he's the last guy in your cash lineup, if you have 8,000 left, and you play him, I'm fine with that. Some of the other guards, Casey Rivers and Hollins, get you 10 to 12, occasional 20. So I think they're GPP plays. Polythreus here, he hurt a lot of people on Tuesday, got into foul trouble, and he had a terrible game. I don't get why he has a $900 price increase. That just doesn't make sense. I'd say if he was like 8K, I'd say he'd be good for cash. But even though this is possibly a pace-up game at 9,200, he's a GPP for me. Same thing for Will Thomas. just haven't seen the consistency. You could end up with 10 to 12 DK points, or you could end up with 20. So with 10 teams playing, definitely not someone I'm looking too hard at. Pantika has had 2 good rounds back to back. He's a borderline cash play. I think, it's like get right at the 17-18 mark, so he can get there. I think he did well due to like some of the foul trouble last round. Gudaitis finally came to life last round, had a great game. Before that, he averaged like 10 to 12 DK points. So he's a GPP because I haven't seen him consistently smash, but definitely has 20-point upside. The rest of the guys in red are pretty much fades. So let's look at the Berlin side of things. So Silva did come back last game. He was supposed to be out, but he seemed to recover. But let's start with the forwards. And every time you start with this team, you got to look at Sigma. And playing Zenit is a really good organized defensive team. So for him to hit value, he needs to be in the mid-20s. I'm not sure he gets there. So I have him as a GPP. It could be like in the lower 20s, and at 9,500, that's just not going to pay it off. And he's not one to be like a pure points play. Griffey, he's really good. Last round after a letdown, I think he should get back to cash. Even though he doesn't start, he still gets plenty of minutes. He's averaging 21 a game, or 10% of the team's minutes. So that's solid for me. I'm okay for him cash. Fontitello seems to be trending down, even though he's starting every game recently. It seems like he's scoring less and less DK points. He needs 19 for cash. I think I see him at like 15 to 17, so he's a GPP with some upside. Thiemann, now he has averaged 19.8 DK points over the last 3 games. So his average overall is 16 because he's had some up and down in between that. So I'd like it better if he started, so I listen to his GPP, but there's definitely some floor there and some upside. So it might be 6,400 if you're kind of in no man's land and need last guy in. I'm okay with him in cash. Lammers always gets the start. Some people really love this guy, but he might be a nice guy. I don't know him personally, but just for playing him in Draftkings for an EL contest, who get like 12 to 13 points regularly, and that doesn't hit value. So he's a GPP with floor, but he definitely has a limited upside. Okay, looking at the guards. Granger's the highest price one. His minutes did not drop with Silva back. He's been solid. He should be right on the cash line, about the 20 to 22 DK points. So definitely like him better if he starts. Eriksson does start, but for me, he's a fade. He's just really not getting it done. He's not playing many minutes. He's priced at 72. He's only getting about 14, so he's come back at 2x, so not enough. But Silva's back, and he played 15 minutes and got almost 17 DK points, so last time. So for me, that's enough for cash. I think he'll continue to get better and better. His price is pretty low also, considering that he was coming back from the ankle injury. Or did he test positive for COVID? I think he might have tested positive for COVID. Anyways, he's coming back, and seems like they're easing him back in a little bit, but I think that he's seems to be strong enough to be back to regular. Who else do we have here? So then we have Molo. Molo was good. Well, Silva was out. Still going with GPP because he can be sneaky sometimes. And again, with having these double weeks and rotation and stuff, he could definitely possibly get the start. And if he does, I consider that. He's a little bit higher than where I'd look, only 200 for a value play. I probably get like 13, so it's not a bad option if you're looking for somebody in the lower range. And then Medicic got the start last time, and probably mostly a double week rotation thing. So if he starts again, I could see playing him even at like if he gets 7 to 9 points at 38. Like he's probably the best low priced player on the slate. I'm not saying he's going to break the slate or smash or get anywhere north of 10 DK points, but you really don't need much at 38. You just want to make sure that you don't get the bagel, the donut, the zero. Okay, moving on to the next game, the 2:45 start. Zalgiris taking on Milan, which, oops, let's get Bartlett out of there. I do not understand this line because Zalgiris is, this is a battle of the teams. I think they're 11th and 12th in the table, so they're definitely in the middle. So I don't understand why Zalgiris, who's had a solid start this season, they've lost a couple games recently, but they've been against pretty good teams. They're 7-point dogs at home. So if that line holds and you put bets on any of these games, I would definitely bet Zalgiris to cover that and be closer than 7. I just think that's too wide of a margin. Total for the game looks about right. Zalgiris, not too many cash options here. Walkup is doing well, but he's priced up over 9K versus a decent defense. So I just don't think he's going to get where he needs to be to pay off in cash. He could have a great game, but I think there's other options on the slate in this range that I'd feel safer playing in cash. He's definitely not a bad GPP option. He's got the upside. Grigonis, on the other hand, I definitely would see playing him in cash at 8,800. He's definitely been more consistent than Walkup. And for some reason, Lucas Levekius, like he was really strong at the beginning of this season, but he's just really declined recently. I still list him as a GPP, but he's almost heading to fade level. His production is like I have him, even his projection, like down 15% from what his average is, just because last couple of games he just really hasn't done well. And before we go on a little bit further, just to explain to you how these projections are made. It takes all their statistics that DK would take for the scoring system and figures out, see, hide here, in this column would be like what their natural average would be, and then adjusts it to the pace of the game they're playing. So if they're going to probably have more possessions because they're playing a higher, faster paced team, then it's going to boost their projections a little bit. If they're playing against a team that tends to be slower and they're probably going to have less possessions than they normally do, then you're going to take away a little bit of their points. So once you get that raw average, then I, look at every single player's box scores last 3 games or so and see, where their projections fall in line. And then sometimes I have to make some manual adjustments from what the mathematical average is, just to get something I feel more comfortable with. So anyways, back to our regular scheduled program here, talking about Zalgiris. So you have a couple other guards here, Jakublis, and I think he's the only other one that really considered playing, possibly, but still he's a GPP, just not really producing as much. He'll probably get a shade over 10 points. Looking at the front court, Hayes has had some good games. He's had 6 weeks of solid performance and like 2 weeks where he didn't hit values. So given his price at 72, probably get right on around 18. That's where I need him to be. So I can take that in cash. Laverne, like he's a good player, especially like last year when he played for Fenner. But this year he just seems to be getting foul trouble a lot. It's been around 14 to 16 DK points. That's not enough to pay off his tag unit at 69. But definitely has potential. He could have a smash game. they're up against a decent defense and decent front line with Milan. So, you know, risk and reward. He's definitely playable, definitely somebody that has the potential, but haven't seen it recently, so I'm probably staying away. Rubit's done very little recently. 5 out of the last 7 rounds, so I'd fade him unless he gets the start if they're doing some rotational thing. Giebenhead did get thrown a start recently. Did okay in that game, so he could be a deep GPP value play. He's one that I've always said will get you like 10 points. So if you're looking for somebody sub 5K that you know is going to score 10 points, then he's a great fill-in for that. Moving on to Milan. So as I stated last time out, like this front court, now that everybody is back and then they added punter into the mix, is a giant mud puddle, and I have no idea who's going to be starting. Speculating it's going to be Punter and Rodriguez again, but it could be Delaney and Roll. It could be any of these. Sinacherini could get it, or Moretti, or any of these guys, and a double we could pop up as the starter. So breaking them on down, I think Estrad, if starting it, is still a cash play. He's probably the most talented there. Pure scorer, can do a lot of things, create for others. He's one that if you kind of look as a 5-tool player, where he can get points or 3-pointers, he can get some rebounds, get some assists, get some steals, even get a couple blocks. So he's hitting in all categories, and somebody definitely consider playing. So Delaney came back from injury. I think he's the one that had the severe ankle strained ligaments or pulled ligaments, torn ligaments or something. And they brought him back at 10K last time, but they dropped him to 8K, so you had a $2,000 discount on him. So if he's starting, is something I'd definitely look at. Probably looking at 17 to 19 a game. So that's a GPP even at the lower price of 8,000. But if he does get started, probably consider him cash. Punter, he had an average debut. He had like 12 DK points. It wasn't anything spectacular. As you can see, it's only 1.75x. So mildly disappointing for the people that played him. As a GPP, I think he's got some upside. More so, of course, if he starts. Roll and Marchini here are GPP value darts. Whose prices are a bit too high. Probably should be like 45 and 42. But again, if for some reason they get the spot start, I would consider playing them. Looking at the front court, DeTome's out again. No idea what's going on with him. Might just not be fitting in this team. Looking to sign him, send him someplace else, or trade him, or release him. Haven't seen anything that he's like injured or anything like that. So Shields is usually their best player in the front court, and he was a little disappointing last time. I remember as a GPP. Just 9K is like his highest price tag of the season, and just think that's a little bit too high for his lack of consistency. Mikoff has come back, and the 2 games he's played, he hasn't started, but it's speculated that he might get the start over Lede or Shields for this round. And he had played 25 minutes in both games. 20 points pays off his price. I definitely feel he can get there in cash. Lede, if he does start, could hit cash value too. His price is creeping up, but it's not to the point where I'm uncomfortable playing him yet. Still okay with like 75, but if he gets to be like 8K, then I don't know. He might turn more from a cash play to a GPP. Let's see. Hines is another one that he's let me down a couple times recently. He's like right on that cash line, 6,700 for a forward that starts, that has potential to get almost like 10 points a game and to I just wish he was a little bit better rebounder for a center. Only averaging like 3 a game is definitely not a glass eater by any means. So, the price is to the point where it's fallen, where he's like efficient now. Okay, I think that wraps up them. Don't really think the rest of these guys are only getting like little Tark, gets like 13 minutes a game, but he only averaged like 90K points, which is pretty pathetic. That's pretty bad. Nobody else really interesting me, so let's move on to the first of the 3 o'clock games. So let's look at the blowout one. So we're gonna go with Zvezda and Barcelona. You can see it's all in red here. It's got the lowest total, probably because Barcelona will score 80 and Zvezda will score like 40 some. So I know that doesn't add up to be 151, but it could be 100 to 51. Zvezda is not has struggled a little bit, so it's a 13-point margin projected. So let's see here. And this is one thing I did say is like Barcelona kind of has the advantage. They didn't play twice in the double week. They only played once. So, but my strategy breakdown is pretty easy. Play Lloyd in cash. He's not a sure thing against Barcelona, but he's probably one of the ones that's the highest upside with the most pure points. He might not pay off his price point and get to the 2.5x that I usually look for in cash, but he's probably got the best shot to score the most points. And then Terry, he got the start last time. He's been really solid in cash. The rest of this team, I'm really not a fan of. I know a lot of people like playing Johnny O'Brien. I liked him, first couple of rounds he played, he was good, but his price I think was more down in like the 6,000s, and now he's up to 8K. Last 2 rounds, he's only been in the teens, and he's facing a strong D, so definitely GPP because he has the potential. Walden's, go back to the guards here. Walden's is priced up. He's been declining in return, so 81 just seems too high for him. And Hall is just completely fallen apart. He's been horrible. I think he had like maybe 5 DK points. Like I fell into that trap thinking, oh man, this guy's way too cheap. Well, he's too cheap for a reason, because he's not producing anything. You can still try him as a GPP because of his results he pulled in the beginning of the season. But I think at this point he has a little upside. Okay, so forwards, we already talked about Terry. We talked about JOB. Dadovic, Marco, JK, Kuzmik, throw him in there, and Reith. Doesn't matter if these guys start or they don't. It's pretty much they're the same player. They're going to get you about 10 points from DK. So if you want a GPP fill-in dart with no upside, that's fine. I have no interest in him, especially in this matchup. Especially as the starters, like if they need him for domestic league, they're probably going to rust them and probably not going to get too much run. So looking at the other side of it, the Barcelona side, there's a lot of plays I like here, but the trouble is if this is going to be a blowout, are they only going to play 3 quarters? Now, the thing is if they score 75, 80 points in the first 3 quarters, then you might get to where you need to get in a regular game, and it doesn't matter that they don't play the 4th. There was some years where, a couple of years ago, where the Golden State Warriors were Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant. They'd get what they needed to do in 3 quarters, and they would hit value, and they'd sit the 4th, and nobody would really care because they got to where they needed to get. So Mirotic, I think, is probably the best player in the slate. Got the high price tag, and he's one again that I don't think it matters if he gets it to 2.5x because he's got such potential to get 30 points and get the most pure points on the slate. I think he's more of a sure thing than Lloyd. But, how much of the game does he play? Davies, did great when Miracek was out. But ever since he came back, he's only been 12 to 15 points. If for some reason you see him starting instead of Miracek, then with rotation or whatever, I'd consider him then. On the other hand, Abrams has been outstanding. He's been around 20 points last 3 rounds, close to 3x. Probably one a cash play that I'm going to be locking in, unless I get some weird news or something. And again, this is one of the hard things is that when you plan your lines, I might look at taking multiple cash players from this game, so I don't have to look for one set of lineups. If you're trying to play in your positions, if you have 4 guys in 3 o'clock and they're in 3 different games, it's gonna be so hard to try to look across all the rosters when they come out to make sure that you guys starting and that the people that you want to play there are in good position. So again, this is hard because you've got some really good players on this team, but you really want to see what the lineup is before you commit to them. Schmitz, when Miracek went out with COVID, and I joked with everybody that he would be the starter and then have a smash day, just being sarcastic, but he actually did. And honestly, he's nowhere near the size of Boban. If you think about at the NBA in Dallas for Boban, but he's a point per minute guy. He's a guy that's playing 12 to 16 minutes a game, and he's getting 24 to 32 DK points. I think he scored 25 real points in 16 minutes. That, it's outstanding. So he's definitely someone. I like him in cash if he starts. Put him in your lineup. But he's somebody in a GPP too that you can just kind of set and forget it. And as long as he's on the roster, he will get some run and he'll probably pay off for you. Kirk went off last game, and I don't think that's a thing. It's he almost had 30 DK points. Maybe it helped that Claver's out because he's a shooting guard, and Kirk, even though he's listed as a forward, kind of plays some of the two. I see him at more a 14-16 this time, which is borderline cash. I'll keep him with GPP until I definitely see that he continues to do that. Hanga, another GPP option, 11 to 13, floor, no upside. Aurelia had one good game. He's K-Mid on PAO, I always say. He's a scratch-up lottery ticket. You never know what you're going to get. You play him and you can get 6 or you can get 24 or anywhere in between. So he's your YOLO, you only live once play for me. Well, not for me, for you. I probably definitely won't play him, even if I see him starting. Let's see here. With Claver out, it seems that Cathias has gotten a little bit more run. He's not anywhere close to where he was last year when he was on Panathinaikos, but he's got 20 in the last 2 rounds. This is his lowest price this season. So in cash, I definitely could see playing at 8,700. Higgins is a low price too. He's more of a D guy over a playmaker, but he should get 18 to 20, and that's cash worthy. The one I really look at is Thomas Hertl. I have him listed as a value play, about 14 DK points, but he's one if they are doing some rest or something that could get extended run, or if he gets a blowout, they can pull Cathias and Higgins, and he might be the one that leads the team out there as the point guard and gets all the minutes in garbage time during the blowout. So definitely someone to look at there. So he could end up getting hitting the value or getting up to 3x. Okay, well, we're talking about Spanish teams. Let's go to the other game there. So we'll start with the Fener side of it. Fener Real Madrid. So Nando is still out. Brown should still be a good cash option. He needs 24 to cash. I think he can get there, even against Real Madrid. I love Muhammad again. Like, I was loving him even before Nando went out. He was coming off the bench. He had great energy. He was scoring about 20 DK points. And then the week I play him, I don't get a chance to switch my lineup, and Westerman starts, and he hardly plays, and it was a disaster. But the last game, Westerman didn't play at all, so I didn't see anything about him being injured or sick or out for any reason. Figure it was just kind of rest, maybe with rotation with the double week. So, but if Muhammad, he came back last round and he put up 20 again, which was like 3x. So if Muhammad starts, I would definitely consider playing him. Think he gets a 3x. If Westerman starts, he's somebody that I might consider playing. Then you had I have no idea who this guy is. Kian Sipai. He came in last round. He got 16, which was like over 3x. Don't think he started, but he did get a lot of run. So I'm listening to his value play. It was one game. Don't want to overreact. I really like to wait to see if it's more of a trend before I play him. And again, could just been a rotational thing, but someone to keep an eye on. Okay, front court, Vesely seems to be back to a safe cash play. He's at his lowest price of the season at 86. I think you can get 20 to 23. Definitely, even though Real is a good front court, I think he should get where he needs to be, and at this low price, definitely somebody I'd strongly consider in cash. Eddie and Pierre are GPP plays. Like him better, of course, if they start. Possible cash plays. Young guys, good energy. I met Duve and Barthel. There you're only getting about 10 DK points, so that's just really not high enough. Again, like I said, for some other guys, if they're 44 and 42, consider, but it being in the 5,000 range, I think it's a little bit too high. Okay, so Real Madrid, and here's where we've got a lot of questions. So, Campazzo, rumored to be going to the NBA. Will he still be on the team at this point when the game tips off on Friday? It's not a home game, it's an away game. So, will they let him get one last game out there? Will his agent talk to the coach and the team and say, make sure he doesn't go out there and get hurt, let him play a little bit? We have no idea. And then they had a weird starting lineup last time where Abalde started at the 2, and then Deck was at the 3, and then Tavares played at the 5, and Randolph was at the 4. And their standard before this, like they were either starting like Carroll or Lou at the 2, and then Abalde was playing the 3, Randolph 4, and Tavares at the 5. Trey Tompkins, I think, again, I didn't see it was any rotation or that it was any like injury or anything. I think it was rotation, but he hardly played after he's been like a smash play and a cash play. So team's pretty frustrating. So let's look at this. So Campazzo, if you see he's starting, I'd play him. I think he's going to show out one last time. I will definitely throw him in a GPP line. Might even consider him in cash. But like you said, he profiles well for cash, but I think situationally would not as much of a blowout, but it could still potentially be a blowout. Fenners really has struggled since they've lost Nando. Really not a great defensive team against guards, so I think it's a good situation. So Lou only needs 15 to get value. Whether he starts or not, I think he's decent, but I like him better. Definitely if he starts, so I can consider him cash. Carroll has been an afterthought the last 2 rounds. Seems like with everybody back and Campazzo playing more minutes. But if he gets to start at the 2, then I definitely consider him in cash because every time he's done that, he's come through. So yeah, going back to Tompkins, I've highlighted here. Barely played, probably rotation. He's a cash play, but I'm just going to say GPP because don't know what's going on there. Tavares started and did well. I think he's a cash play. His price has really gone down. I think he's 8,400. I think that's a great bargain for him. So somebody definitely be interested in. I'm taking him in cash if he starts again. Randolph has been red hot lately, over 3x at his price. And if he starts, love him in cash. I think the key this the back end of the double week is like looking for some of these guys to start, because if they don't start, they could be on the bench. It could be the same thing as Tompkins last time, where they just never get in the game and don't get any play, and then you paid all this money and get absolutely nothing out of it. So GPP, it's fine. Leave them in, take the risk. Maybe others people won't play them. You'll get them at low ownership if they come in and they smash, and then you're winning all the money. In cash, if you need to be safer, I'm really trying to look for people that I know are starters. That so you actually know that they'll actually be in the game at least for some point. Balday's been good too, also recently. Like his price at 7,100. Taylor might be back, so I might hear him a little bit, but I haven't. Taylor is out because I've seen a lot of things that said that he won't be back until after this double week. And Garuba, he's a GPP with upside, especially if starting. He's their young center that they're grooming to be the future of the team. He's a great rebounder. So Deck absolutely smashed last round, but maybe it was his birthday or something. He scored more last round than if you probably added his previous 5 games together. So I doubt it happens again. He should be back to his sub 10 DK point self. If you want to chase it, go ahead. I'm not. I'm out. Thank you for what you did for me last round. I'm glad I caught you had your lightning in the bottle, but I don't think it's going to happen again. Okay, I think we're to the last game now, which is Maccabi and Valencia. So this game also starts at 3 o'clock. Has a nice total, and I think it should be a close game. So I think it could garner some good DFS plays. But again, it's hard because it's the final game and there's some question marks. So looking at Maccabi, Lebekin's been solid. He might not hit cash, but he's pure points cash play. He should play the whole game. He's not in a blowout. I don't think he's risked of getting rested. So out of the Spanish guards and some of the other situations like Lloyd playing against a really good team, I think he's one of the safer cash options at guard for the higher price ones. Dorsey had an off game. He's been good before that, so no reason why he can't bounce back in this matchup. So I'll recommend him in cash again at 84. I think he gets anywhere in 22, 24 points. E. Bryant, he's about 500 too much. He should be like 75, 77. For me to play him in cash, I don't think he quite gets to 20. So yeah, he's GPP. He has the upside. Chris Jones has been really good too, coming in as a role player off the bench. Solid contributor, and he's cash playable at 66. We have the front court. I think Zizic is another one of my cash locks. Probably quarter him on Tuesday. Consider possibly put him in my core cash lineups this slate also. He just seems to be consistent week after week. I can't recommend Colorado anymore. He's just really falling apart. He does have the upside to have like a 20, 25, 30-point game, but I think it's less likely than it is to have it. And so GPP option there. Hunter is coming back from injury. Seems like he's still working in, only about 75%. So he's a GPP that could have upside. 68 is a great price for him. If he comes in and gets like 15 DK points, then that could smash. Bender has rounded. I don't know if he's start or not. I don't think it matters. I think he still gets about 12 DK points, and that's fine for a value cash play. He's under the 5,500 I look for. That's my ceiling for price for what I call a value play. So anything from 3K to 55 is value. So obviously he's up in the higher range of it, but I think he can pay off his tag there. Okay, anybody else on this team? Nope. Yeah, Osblazer. He seems to be a decent player. He's actually got 3 starts. Decent, like real life basketball player, not for like fantasy purposes. But he's one that I fear could be like the slate breaker. Like, hey, we get to like 3 o'clock, you don't get the MTA line come out, and you find that like Bender and Colorado are like sitting, and that he's starting at the 4, and he gets like 25 minutes and ends up putting like up 23 DK points and is like 4x at his price of 4,200. And the one guy that had him in his placeholder wins the Friday Frenzy because he just like completely smashed, and it was a complete like luck play. But anyways, moving on to the final game, Valencia. Okay, Dubovik was such a solid cash play, but recently he's been closer to like 20 DK points at 30, and his price keeps on going up. He's almost at 10K. So just based on price, I think he's a GPP. He definitely has the potential. Clinic is Mr. Safe cash play. I love the price, 78. Someone that's going to get 20 points, and that's good. That's what we need from him. Plug him in. Very safe. We finally got the Derek Williams smash game last round. Congratulations if you played him. Such a large slate, I don't see chasing it. But I'll upgrade him from a fade to a GPP this round. And Labierre, he's been getting the starts every so often. He's another guy with floor, but not enough ceiling for cash. So he's a GPP. Toby is a very capable backup. Probably he and Rubit are like some of the most solid backups in the league when it comes to center. He, just like Rubit, like backs up Joffrey, who gets into foul trouble. Dube can get into foul trouble also. So it provides opportunity for Toby. He's capable of getting 14, and he's finally priced in a range where he's playable again. His price just kept on climbing when it's just too astronomically high to play for somebody who's a backup, essentially. Possibly could get a start again as a double week. There might be some rotation. And then Sam M is a value punt that he had a good game last time out, but he's wildly inconsistent. But he's only 4,700 also, so somebody you can plug in a GPP lineup. Looking at the guards, Markovic is out again. Sachet is still out. So the big question is going to be SVR, Sam Van Rossum. He's dealing with a knee issue. I think that he's possibly still going to be out, but he could be back. Since then, Prepperlick has been outstanding, but he's got up 2,400 in 3 weeks and 1K over last slate. And I think if he starts and SVR is still out, then he's safe for another 30 points if we're looking at that. But if FCR is in, or if he does not start, then he might be a little bit too much if he only scores in the teens. So again, it's risky, and it's the last game. So if he's someone you're looking at, then I'd look for people in playing for Valencia or Maccabi. So you're not looking across at 3 o'clock, like multiple different lineups, trying to see if you guys are in or out playing or in a good situation or not. So Vivas has also benefited. He's been getting some spot starts there, but he's up about 1K, but he's only getting about 13 DK points. So he's GPP. And if SVR is back and he's good to go, and there's no issue with the knee at only 6K, so I have him as a blue cash, meaning that I'd play him in cash only if he starts. If he doesn't, he might be a GPP play. Probably wouldn't have much interest in him. Hermanson had a great game last time out, but he's another guy that's only averaging like 13 DK points, so he's a GPP play. Yeah, well, before we go, let's take a quick look at Fanduel again. Pricing's gotten better. They have like Lloyd and Miritic as the highest ones, and I think they're good plays, but I think they're pretty risky because, again, that game could be a blowout. Lloyd might not be able to get much because he's playing a really good team, and Miritic might not play the whole game. So I think Zizik, is definitely, and Wilbeck, and as I said, are very solid plays there. If you look at it, Billy Byron profiles pretty well, but again, he's pretty inconsistent. Vesley, he's a solid cash play. Who else? Abrams at 12. I think that's a great play there. Pepperlick 18 might be a bit high. Just have to make sure. Van Rossen's out. Let's see. Muhammad, like I said, if he starts and Westerman's not in, 9, that's definitely a smash play there. So that concludes our breakdown. It's been a fun week, and next week I think we're back to the normal Thursday, Friday schedule. I didn't check to see if there's games Tuesday or Wednesday, if we're going to come up on a series of makeup ones, and I don't know if DK is going to just ignore them or if they're going to have, like, if there's a game Tuesday and a game Wednesday, like make one slate, or the one time they did a 2-day slate where you had the game Wednesday with all Thursday's game, but then you had a separate slate for Thursday. So we'll let you know. Keep an eye out for videos or on our Twitter feed, or if you join FSIDFS.com and get in our Discord, then definitely will let you know what's going on there. Thanksgiving, we will, I don't know if it's a 4 or 5 game slate, but it's not Thanksgiving in Europe, it is in the United States. But definitely we'll try to have a breakdown for that slate coming up, and maybe Black Friday. We'll see how the holiday goes. But again, appreciate everybody watching to this point. Give us a like, subscribe if you haven't, and hope you guys can benefit from this information that we have given you, and that you are able to have some success and some green screens. So good luck to you, and we'll catch you next time. Big Ruler out. Peace.